nobody talks about how quickly people give up on each other now. One misunderstanding, one delayed reply, one uncomfortable conversation, and suddenly a relationship that once felt special becomes disposable. We live in a world where people crave deep connection but are trained for instant replacement. Attention spans are shorter. Patience is weaker. Loyalty is constantly tested by endless options, social media validation, and the illusion that someone better is always one swipe away. The painful truth is this. Modern relationships are not collapsing because people stopped falling in love. They're collapsing because people stopped understanding what love actually demands. Real connection was never built on excitement alone. It was built on emotional discipline, communication during discomfort, trust under pressure, and the ability to stay when things stop feeling easy. And now an entire generation is entering relationships emotionally unprepared. Men are taught to suppress vulnerability until they explode. Women are taught to protect themselves so much that softness feels dangerous. Both sides are exhausted, defensive, distracted, and secretly terrified of being hurt. So instead of building together, people test each other, manipulate each other, compare each other, and slowly destroy the very thing they wanted most. This is not just about dating. This is about loneliness becoming normal. This is about people sharing beds but feeling emotionally abandoned. This is about millions of people slowly losing the ability to form lasting human bonds while pretending everything is fine online. Because the real danger isn't heartbreak. The real danger is becoming so emotionally disconnected that love starts to feel temporary, trust starts to feel risky, and commitment starts to feel impossible. We are living in a generation where attention has become the most misunderstood form of affection. A message every hour feels like commitment. Constant compliments feel like emotional connection. Public validation on social media feels like loyalty. But attention is easy to give when emotions are shallow. Real love begins when convenience disappears. Many men grow up believing they must constantly perform to keep a woman interested, so they confuse being desired with being valued. They chase reactions instead of building emotional presence, because deep down they fear becoming invisible the moment they stop entertaining. What makes this worse is that modern culture rewards emotional intensity but rarely teaches emotional stability. Women are flooded with attention from everywhere, making consistency feel ordinary and excitement feel more valuable than peace. Men notice this and begin competing for stimulation rather than trust. Instead of developing emotional maturity, they develop strategies how to text, how to appear detached, how to stay mysterious, because vulnerability now feels risky in a world where people are easily replaced. At the same time, many women are searching for emotional safety while unconsciously rewarding unpredictability, creating relationships built on anxiety instead of clarity. The result is two people craving genuine connection while performing versions of themselves designed to avoid rejection. We have created a culture that celebrates beginnings but has lost respect for endurance. People fall in love with chemistry, attraction, and emotional highs, but the moment discomfort enters the relationship, panic replaces commitment. One argument feels like incompatibility. One misunderstanding feels like emotional betrayal. Many men here never taught how to stay emotionally present during conflict, so when pressure rises, they shut down, detach, or escape into silence because they associate emotional struggle with failure. They want peace, but they were never shown how to create it through communication. What makes relationships collapse even faster is that modern dating gives the illusion of endless alternatives. Instead of asking, how do we grow through this? People quietly ask, could someone else make this easier? Women often carry emotional frustration for too long without feeling heard, while men feel constantly criticized without feeling understood. Both sides begin protecting themselves instead of protecting the relationship. The emotional distance grows silently because pride becomes stronger than patience. The deeper problem is that struggle is now treated as evidence that love is wrong, when in reality, struggle is often the moment real love begins to reveal itself. Strong relationships are not built by avoiding difficult moments. They are built by learning how to remain connected inside them. We are the first generation constantly surrounded by thousands of people, yet struggling to build deep attachment with even one. Social media has quietly changed the way people value relationships. Every scroll introduces another face, another lifestyle, another illusion of perfection. The human mind was never designed to compare these many options every single day. Many men now feel invisible unless they are achieving, impressing, or performing at a high level because attention online has become tied to status. Instead of developing emotional depth, they develop digital personas designed to attract validation while hiding insecurity. What makes this dangerous is that people are no longer learning how to understand each other through discomfort. They are learning how to replace each other before discomfort even begins. Women are exposed to endless examples of better men, better lifestyles, better relationships, while men are constantly shown unrealistic standards of beauty, success, and dominance. Both sides begin comparing real human beings to carefully edited highlights on a screen. Patience disappears because perfection always appears one swipe away. The emotional damage becomes invisible at first. Conversations become shorter. Empathy becomes weaker. People stop listening to understand and start listening for reasons to disconnect. Instead of asking why someone behaves the way they do, modern relationships encourage people to move on the moment emotional effort becomes necessary. Most relationships do not collapse because two people stop caring about each other. They collapse because two people keep expressing love in ways the other person no longer understands. Men and women often enter relationships carrying completely different emotional fears while expecting the other side to naturally recognize them. Many men are silently terrified of inadequacy. They fear being disrespected, replaced, or seen as emotionally weak, so they hide stress behind distance, logic, or emotional control. At the same time, many women fear emotional abandonment. They want reassurance, presence, and emotional openness, but when those needs are unmet, frustration slowly turns into resentment. What makes this conflict dangerous is that both sides usually misinterpret each other's behavior. A man withdraws because he feels overwhelmed, but the woman experiences it as rejection. A woman becomes emotionally expressive because she wants connection, but the man experiences it as criticism. And neither person is trying to become the enemy, yet both slowly begin reacting defensively instead of compassionately. The relationship becomes a silent battle between unspoken expectations. The tragedy is that modern relationships reward self-protection more than emotional understanding. People become experts at guarding their feelings but strangers to each other's emotional language. Two people can deeply love each other while constantly triggering the exact insecurities the other person is trying to hide. We are living in a time where protecting the ego has become more important than protecting the relationship. People would rather appear powerful than be emotionally honest. Apologizing feels like weakness. Admitting emotional needs feels embarrassing. Vulnerability feels dangerous because modern culture teaches people that the person who cares less holds the power. Many men grow up believing they must always appear emotionally controlled, unbothered, and dominant. So when they feel hurt, insecure, or emotionally neglected, they hide it behind silence, anger, or detachment. They fear that honesty will reduce their value in the eyes of the woman they love. What makes intimacy different? Disappear is that ego turns relationships into competitions instead of partnerships. Women often want emotional reassurance and deeper communication, but pride can stop them from expressing softness after repeated disappointment. Men often crave respect and emotional peace, but ego prevents them from admitting how deeply rejection or criticism affects them. Instead of communicating pain clearly, both sides begin testing each other emotionally. They wait for the other person to reach out first. They weaponize silence. They pretend not to care while secretly hoping to feel chosen. The deeper problem is that ego creates emotional distance while convincing people they are protecting themselves. A man may refuse to communicate because he wants to maintain control, while a woman may emotionally withdraw because she no longer feels safe being vulnerable. Both people slowly become performers inside the relationship, managing appearances instead of building connection. The relationship begins looking stable from the outside while emotionally collapsing. Underneath, because intimacy cannot survive where pride is constantly fighting to win. The most dangerous thing happening to love today is not betrayal, heartbreak, or even separation. It is emotional numbness. People are slowly losing the ability to deeply connect while still pretending they want connection. After enough disappointment, many men stop expressing what they truly feel because vulnerability begins to feel unsafe. They convince themselves that emotional detachment is strength, when in reality, it is often self-protection disguised as control. A man who once wanted loyalty, intimacy, and emotional peace slowly becomes emotionally unavailable because he no longer trusts that openness will be respected. What makes this even more painful is that many women are experiencing the same emotional exhaustion in different ways. After repeated inconsistency, manipulation, or emotional neglect, they begin building emotional walls to avoid being hurt again. They still desire love, but they become cautious about fully trusting it. The problem is that two guarded people cannot create emotional safety together. One person waits for reassurance while the other waits for proof. One person wants vulnerability while the other fears being exposed. Both people crave closeness while subconsciously resisting it. The modern world keeps feeding this emotional disconnection. Social media rewards appearances over authenticity. Dating culture rewards excitement over stability. People are taught how to attract attention, but not how to sustain emotional intimacy. Men are told to avoid appearing weak. Women are told to avoid depending too much on anyone. Slowly, relationships become negotiations of power instead of places of emotional refuge. The tragedy is that love is now competing against distraction, ego, comparison, fear, and endless alternatives. People enter relationships carrying unresolved pain while expecting the other person to heal it. Conversations become performative. Affection becomes inconsistent. Loyalty becomes conditional. And underneath all of it is a generation terrified of being hurt, slowly becoming incapable of staying emotionally present long enough to build something real.